The year is 2025. You know, some stories start with a bang, but this one began with a creak. A long, groaning complaint from a wooden garage door that hadn't seen the light of day since the Nixon administration. It was one of those forgotten places, tucked away behind an old house on a quiet suburban street. The kind of place you walk by 1,000 times and never notice. But behind that door, a secret was waiting. A secret covered in the dust of ages, sleeping silently while the world outside rushed forward, changing in ways its original owner could never have imagined. It was a time capsule, sealed not with a lock and key, but with time itself. As the heavy door reluctantly scraped open, a single beam of sunlight pierced the gloom. It was like opening a pharaoh's tomb. The air inside was thick and musty, carrying the scent of old wood, decaying cardboard, and something else. Gasoline and oil, faint but unmistakable. And then, as my eyes adjusted to the dim light, I saw it, a shape. A large, hulking form sitting in the center of the garage, completely draped in a thick, gray blanket of dust and cobwebs. It was massive, its contours softened by the years of neglect, but the silhouette was undeniable. It had the long, lean lines and the proud stance of an American classic. I took a tentative step forward, my footsteps echoing in the stillness. With a gentle hand, I reached out and brushed away a section of the thick, velvety dust from the hood. It was like wiping away the years. Underneath, a flash of color emerged. A deep, rich Daytona blue, still holding a hint of its former glory. Running my hand along the fender, I could feel the elegant curve, the unmistakable lines of a mid-60s masterpiece. The cobwebs clung to every edge, stretching from the fender to a nearby stack of old tires, creating an intricate silvery net that had been woven over decades. It was a beautiful, haunting sight. My eyes were drawn to the front. Even under the grime, the grille was a work of art, a wide chrome smile stretching from headlight to headlight, punctuated by the iconic Chevrolet bow tie in the center. I could just make out the quad headlights, their glass eyes staring blankly into the darkness, waiting for the spark that would bring them back to life. This was pure 1960s optimism, captured in steel and chrome. The door handle was cold to the touch, but the latch gave way with a satisfying click. The door swung open on surprisingly quiet hinges, revealing an interior that was perfectly preserved. The steering wheel, a thin, elegant ring of plastic with a chrome horn bar, was flawless. The dashboard was a stunning expanse of brushed aluminum, housing a wide, sweeping speedometer that read up to 120 miles per hour. The numbers were crisp and clear, as if they were printed yesterday. The odometer was the real shocker, 24,157 miles. This car was barely broken in before it was put away. I couldn't resist sliding into the driver's seat. The vinyl bench seat sighed as it took my weight, the material still soft and pliable. My hand instinctively went to the dashboard. There, etched in timeless script, was the name that defined an era of American motoring: Impala. This wasn't just any Impala. Based on the trim and the engine emblems I'd glimpsed, this was a 1964 Chevrolet Impala SS, likely with the legendary 327 V8 engine. A true giant of the muscle car era, hidden away and forgotten by the world. Every car has a story, and this Impala's tale began on a bright spring day in 1964. A young man named Robert, fresh out of college and with his first real job, walked into a Chevrolet dealership with a pocket full of dreams. He walked past the sensible Biscaynes and the family-friendly Bel Airs, his eyes fixed on the prize, a Daytona blue Impala Super Sport. It was the car of the moment, a symbol of freedom and youthful exuberance. For him, it wasn't just transportation. It was a ticket to adventure, a promise of open roads and summer nights. For the next few years, the Impala was his constant companion. It was there for his first date with the woman who would become his wife, its radio playing the latest hits from the Beatles and the Beach Boys. It cruised down Main Street on Saturday nights, its powerful V8 rumbling a low, confident tune that turned heads wherever it went. It took them on their honeymoon, a cross-country trip where they made memories that would last a lifetime. The Impala was more than just a machine of metal and glass. It was a member of the family, a silent witness to the most important moments of their young lives. Then, as it so often does, life happened. A couple of kids came along and the sleek two-door coupe wasn't quite as practical as it used to be. A sensible station wagon joined the family fleet. The Impala was relegated to weekend drives, then to special occasions, and finally it was parked in the garage for the winter of '72 with the promise of, "We'll get it out in the spring." But spring came and went. The oil crisis hit, life got busier, and the Impala just stayed. The years turned into decades. Robert always meant to get it running again, but tomorrow never seemed to arrive. The car sat in silence as the world outside changed. The 8-track tapes on the front seat became obsolete, replaced by cassettes, then CDs, then the invisible magic of digital streams. The Impala became a family legend, a story the grandkids heard about. Grandpa's old blue Chevy in the garage. Robert passed away a few years ago, and the secret of the garage was passed down to his children, who finally decided it was time to open the door and let the memories flood out. And there it sat, a perfect specimen, waiting patiently to tell its story once more. Standing there in the quiet garage, you could almost feel the echoes of the past. You could almost hear the crackle of the AM radio and the joyful shouts of a young family. The car was a vessel for so many emotions. The pride of a young man buying his first new car, the romance of a first date, the adventure of a road trip. It was a tangible link to a simpler time, a time of drive-in movies and sock hops. Looking at the pristine dashboard, you could just picture a young couple sitting side by side, the faint glow of the gauges illuminating their faces as they drove under a canopy of stars. The mystery of why it was parked is what makes these finds so captivating. It wasn't wrecked, it wasn't broken down, it was simply stopped. Life intervened in the most ordinary way possible. The decision to store it wasn't a single dramatic event, but a slow, creeping process of procrastination and changing priorities. That's what makes it so relatable. We've all had projects we meant to get to, things we've put off for another day. This Impala was the ultimate I'll get to it later project, a four-wheeled promise that was left unkept for half a century. This car is a perfect example of the 1964 model year, a high point for Chevrolet design. The '64 Impala had a cleaner, more refined look than its predecessors. The designers smoothed out the lines, creating a look that was both athletic and elegant. And that engine, the 327 Turbofire V8. In its day, it was a powerhouse, offering up to 300 horsepower. It was the engine that helped cement the Impala's reputation as a poor man's Cadillac, a car that gave you style, comfort, and performance without the hefty price tag. The emotional weight of the discovery was immense. For the family, it was like reconnecting with a piece of their father they thought was lost forever. It was his youth, his pride, his joy, all wrapped up in a beautiful package of blue steel. For a car guy like me, it's the holy grail. It's not about the monetary value, though that's significant. It's about the preservation of history. Finding a car like this, an all-original low-mileage survivor, is like finding an untouched masterpiece. It's a responsibility to honor its history and bring it back to life the right way. The restoration process was less about rebuilding and more about reawakening. We didn't want to erase the car's history. We wanted to celebrate it. Every nut and bolt was carefully inspected. The fuel system was flushed, the fluids were replaced, and the brakes were completely rebuilt. The original 327 V8, after some careful coaxing, turned over and roared back to life with a thunderous growl that shook the workshop walls. It was a sound that hadn't been heard in 50 years, a voice from the past speaking loud and clear. The body didn't need paint, it needed care. Hours were spent carefully cleaning and polishing the original Daytona blue finish. As the layers of grime were painstakingly removed, a deep, lustrous shine emerged. The chrome, which had been protected by the dust, polished up to a mirror finish, gleaming under the modern workshop lights. The interior was simply cleaned. The vinyl seats, the dashboard, the carpets, all were in incredible condition, a testament to the quality of materials used back then. We even managed to get the original AM radio working, filling the car with static and the ghost of old tunes. Finally, the day came. The Impala rolled out of the garage under its own power, no longer a dusty relic but a living, breathing piece of automotive art. The sunlight hit the blue paint and chrome trim, and the car looked as stunning as it must have on that showroom floor back in 1964. The white wall tires, the gleaming SS hubcaps, the elegant sweep of the roofline. It was perfect. It was more than just a restored car. It was a resurrection. It was a tribute to its first owner and the era it came from. Seeing it drive down the road is what it's all about. It's not a museum piece to be kept behind a velvet rope. It's a car that was born to be driven, to be seen, to be enjoyed. The rumble of that V8, the feel of that big steering wheel in your hands, the view over that long blue hood, it's an experience that connects you directly to the past. The Impala's secret story is secret no more. It's out in the sunshine, its engine singing its song, ready to make new memories for a new generation. And that, folks, is what keeping automotive history alive is all about.